start off by talking about, they're always doing something crazy at MIT, and right now they're trying to charge cell phones using rain, because when I go out in the rain, the first thing I think about is, damn, I wish I could hold my phone out in the rain and charge the battery. Well, that's what they're trying to do. At MIT, they're a long way away right now. Long way away right now. That's hard to say. So here's the way it kind of works. We mentioned this before, but in a different way. There was a technology that was developed to help pull moisture out of arid climates by having a hydrophobic and a hydrophilic layer, and then they basically trap the water. Well, this does something similar, but there's some energy transfer going on there, and so they've inserted some metal surfaces to, I guess, collect the energy gained from that. Now, right now, they said that you're going to need a device about the size of a typical cooler or whatever, like a cooler you take full of beer or something, or whatever you put in your happy little cooler. And, in about 12 hours, something that big could charge a smartphone. So just carry around a thing, like this big, and in 12 hours, your phone is going to be charged. Perfect solution. Better than a battery bank, better than a battery backup. It's great. And it has to be raining or getting wet.
I think there was a version of this on thinkgeek.com that was just a clock. You put water in the clock, and then it was just an LCD clock and would run forever.
You get to water your clock. Guys, I got to go water my clock. I had a nickel for every time I've never said that.
It's a little slow.
Let's talk about Tesla's new car. There's a new $35,000 Tesla coming out called the Model 3. And by the way, I'm giving away a BMW Model 3 25 CI. Go enter the contest. No one noticed that I snuck that in there. I sneaked it in there. Both are correct. You know why? Because of the abuse of the English language. Both are now correct. Sorry. It used to be sneaked. I liked it better when it was sneaked, because then it sounded sneakedy. What am I talking about? Oh, yeah, the snuck. He done snuck down the stairs and ain't nobody noticed.
I reckon.
So, yeah, he's got a new car coming out. It's smaller. It's $35,000. It'll probably run for about 200 miles. And there he is standing in front of some car. I'm not sure if that's the one or not. That looks a little fancy for $30,000, but maybe that's it. I don't know. And there's no SUV yet, of course. All right, let's talk about graphics cards and AMD rumors. The next AMD GPU, what the hell is it going to be? Is it going to be a 295X? Don't they already have like a 295X that's basically two 290s on a thing together? I don't know.
295X2, yes.
Yeah. So
isn't that 390? Was that the 395? I read it as a 395, but I might have misread it.
Oh, that's a new thing coming out. So the only thing, I mean, there's a bunch of speculation here on the future roadmap for the AMD parts, and the thing that really jumped out at me here was that they're working on a better algorithm, I guess, for the UAV. That's the unordered access viewing, or unordered access view ordering, and that's going to improve the performance with anti-aliasing and just a lot of the transparency effects and shadow effects that you'd see. Some of the stuff that you'd see in more modern games are really going to benefit from that. It's not really the rendering of just it's more like the particle effects and that sort of thing. And again, like I said, anti-aliasing. And it's also going to improve the image quality, but right now a lot of games are really benefiting from those technologies. You see like some of the newer games. Let's talk about Watch Dogs, right? Watch Dogs came out, the consoles couldn't handle it, so they took all the amazing lighting effects out of the PC version. And that made the game look really crappy. You put those lighting effects back into the same exact game, and it looks like totally different. So this is something that is going to benefit, really nice effects in games like that. That's the thing that I was most interested in. Also, there's some... it's all speculation, I mean, is there anything here you wanted to highlight?
The other thing is that Synapse Design, which is the company responsible for AMD's chip floor designs, they announced that the largest part they will be producing
That's huge.
Is 500 square millimeters. That is massive. I mean, that is insane.
Who's going to have... Is it going to be like... are they going to make it a really, really long card, or is it going to be one of those cards that extends higher than the PCI Express or the PCI bracket in the back? It'd be like an inch bigger than the PCI. It's going to be huge.
It will be huge, and is that going to be the 390X? I don't know, but it's fun to think about. There's a lot of rumors over there, so it's fun to look at and sort of speculate. And we do know that AMD was really quiet on their roadmap until recently, and then they called all their hardware partners and said, "Hey, things are happening." And
Well, that was
we don't
with
really,
their CPUs, right?
well, we don't really know. It's all rumor and speculation, and we don't know what's happening. And with AMD with their whole graphics card next, I don't think there's a lot of distinction with AMD anymore between what's a CPU and what's a GPU. And certainly for the roadmap, 3 and 5 years down the road. So things may be getting interesting here for AMD.
And maybe they're now that some of the newer platforms are going to be working with DDR4. Maybe they're going to start sharing a lot of the system resources between the CPU and the GPU. They already do this in some things, so that way, if something is loaded into RAM, then the CPU and the GPU can both get at it without having to reload it into the GPU's memory. That would be really cool, and I think they've done it with, like I said, some things, but it would be better if they made that more of the standard. So maybe some new mantle breakthroughs as well. I'm also going to pretend, in my own happy world, that they've sat down and decided that it's time to move away from all these small cores and get 8 really nice, big, beefy cores with their own dedicated cache pools. Maybe that's what they're going to do. I don't know. All right,
we don't know. We have no idea.
Yeah,
we're just spitballing here. Don't listen to us.
You guys should listen to us. We know we've heard from AMD. The king of AMD called me at home 2 a.m. Woke me up to tell me these things. All right.
Called you up at home to make you do his tech support.
I can't get it to work. The APU is just not running Skyrim with all my mods. I was like, what are you doing, man? No.
What kind of chip you got in there? A Dorito?
It's a Funyun. You can't, guys. You can't game on a Funyun. That's what they put in consoles.
The Xbox 2 now with more Funyuns.
It's got the word fun in it. It must be awesome. We've got some rumors about Max. This has turned into like the freaking tabloid section right now. We've got some NVIDIA Maxwell rumors. Apparently the GM200 has been spotted. That's the possibly the new GTX Titan 2 core, but that's just a speculative thing right now. It's going to be the next generation of Maxwell. In the article here, they're speculating like, okay, so Titan was a really big thing, and they marketed it like crazy. It sold, I guess, pretty good. People who really, really, really wanted Titans had to have it and had to get it. And a lot of the vendors that I spoke with said that, hey, we make a bunch of these things and they sell like crazy, and it's just the people who have to have that. They're that extra 1%. The 1%ers have to have it. So there's been a roadmap leaked here with some crazy new parts, and it's all speculation. I don't even want to read some of the stuff that's here. The first processor with 4K unified shaders. That's pretty awesome. But maybe in 2015 we'll see that, and it may be like the Titan 2 or the whatever. What comes after Z?
A.
The Titan A. I don't know. We just go back around again. Is that how they do it? Not in all countries. I don't know.
It's going to be made in Montreal.
Oh, is it?
A.
The show's over. We can't go on after this. Yes, we can. Is this more rumors? Oh no, it's not. We've got an Intel article to talk about here. You have
made it funny.
Cut it out. We got serious business like the Intel Pentium G3258. So yeah, a lot of hardware coming up. All right, let's move on and talk about this phase-changing material that they're working on at. Where are they working on this? Is it MIT? Yep, it's MIT. So they're working on this phase-changing material. It's sort of a type of wax that when you heat it, it's malleable. And the idea here is that everyone's building robots, and they're building robots that are they always have a hard outer shell or a plastic or a metal outer shell. So they're always the same. They're not like organic material that can tense up and like flex and become stiff or relax and become soft to the touch. So they wanted to change that. So they've got this new material that when heated it can be malleable, and then when it's cooled it's firm to the touch. And they're really, really only in the baby stage of this thing. I'll turn this on here, but it shows kind of the idea of what it is here. But they really wanted to make something that could be a lot more human and lifelike. But this is the first step towards building the T-1000. Just call DARPA and add the bazookas and, well, I guess not bazookas, should add the machine guns and whatever else. But yeah, the T-1000 could come from this MIT thing.
I'm surprised it wasn't mentioned, but I would think that this would be one of the stepping stones for doing this kind of thing with 3D printing. Like, this could be one of the types of ink in a 3D food printer. And so it's going to print whatever you want out. It's like it's got the taste ink wells, and then it's got the texture and look and feel ink wells, and it's just going to print whatever food you want, because we're not going to have enough meat and plants, and we're all going to be eating algae in 30 years.
Yeah, I mean, algae's good for you, man. But they actually are using 3D printers to print the lattice that's making this. So that would make it easier to make in the long run, and make it so that you could, make it almost anywhere. So, yeah, it's pretty interesting. I'll go ahead and close that video, make sure it's not talking in the background. All right, speaking of more things that are made and grown in labs, how about some lab-grown cheese that is vegan, because it's not from animals, but it's made in a lab. So what they're doing is they're taking genes, I guess from milk or milk cultures, and they're injecting them into this yeast. And then the yeast essentially produces like milk protein, and then they use that to make traditional cheeses. It's kind of weird. The amount of they've also got like all kinds of other things that are going to be mixed into this, like oils, and just they're basically making cheese without the need for any animal products. But it's not like the fake tofu cheese or whatever. It's real cheese. I don't know how I feel about eating that. I guess I would try it once. People are going to yell and be like, "I thought you didn't like things that were genetically modified." I'm curious. I would put that in my body one time to see what it tastes like.
I'm more curious about like what the vegans think of this. Like, okay, vegans in a hypothetical universe that's not too far off, if you could have 3D printed bacon, is that a thing? Would you go for that? I don't know.
And they're also doing all these
actual real bacon.
Yeah,
but not
from
pig.
They're also doing all like the lab grown like red meat and stuff. Like you can grow a burger, They've done that already. They've already done that. You can grow a burger without having a need for a cow.
Video on meat. If you haven't watched the video on meat glue, you should search for the video on meat glue and then be really disturbed, because hey, that's a thing now, and we are using that, and you've probably already eaten meat glue.
And it's really hard to tell the difference. They even had a specialist come in who was like, he knew his stuff, and he had a piece of filet mignon, then he had a piece of like stuff that was glued together with meat glue, and he was like, I don't know, man. I don't know, but that's real meat. We're talking here about animal products made from non-animal products. So yeah, there it is, making cheese. That looks kind of weird. Wow. All right, let's move on here. Some of those guys are pretty hardcore. The world's first thorium reactor has been designed, and I thought it was going to be in China, but it's actually in India right now. They've designed the first thorium reactor, and get this, the thing is designed to work without any human interaction for 120 days, so 4 months. 4 months, unsupervised, it's safe, it's cool, and then beyond that, it's designed to last 100 years. Why have we not been doing this? Somebody tell me.
It's not technically the world's first thorium reactor, but we're going to let them have that because we need thorium reactors, and anybody that's working on this gets a pass.
Yeah. I guess it'll be won't this be the first one that's actually going to be put to use on a large scale? I
think it's the first one that's the AHWR design, which is, there are 3 documented designs that I know of, and like the lifter and the molten salt thing, and then the retrofit of existing fission reactors. And this would be another design that has a lot of interesting things, but it seems to be, like, at least in terms of like the ambitions of the design, it does seem to be a really interesting design. I would like to have some nuclear engineers vet this design, if they haven't already, and say, oh yes, this is totally amazing. But for India, this could be, if they build this could be really good for India, because it would be a cheap source of a ton of energy, which could totally transform that region.
Speaking of a ton of energy, you know where they're using a ton of energy? Well, at the LHC at CERN. So the LHC, discovered the Higgs boson not long ago, and now they've discovered something even rarer than the Higgs boson. They've discovered the stuff that's going on behind the scene with the Higgs boson, and that's that the Higgs boson, it gives things mass, and they were trying to figure out how that works. And so they've been slamming protons together, because that's how you figure things out, apparently. You just keep slamming protons together. And out of about 100 trillion protons that have been slammed together, they've started to detect what possibly could be whatever it is that it's allowing the Higgs to give things mass. I have no idea what I just said.
So basically, when they're just colliding two protons together, and they're doing that about 100. Well, they're trying to do that about 100 trillion times. The reaction that they're looking for would only occur in one in about 100 trillion proton-proton collisions. But so they need a huge amount of data to look for the blips of this collision. But the data out of that collision will give rise to the subatomic particle, to give hard data to the subatomic particle that gives rise to mass. And that's all really interesting. The physics of that is really interesting. But the thing that stood out to me in the report is that the standard model is holding together okay. So the standard model covers a lot of stuff, but there are things that we observe that is not explained by the standard model. And so you have string theory and all these other sort of exotic things. But in these very large data sets these folks have put together with these proton-proton collisions, the standard model is holding its own, which is a really, really interesting development in my opinion.
All right, well, speaking of the standard model, Honda ASIMO, that's the robot that, that's over in Japan. We've seen some videos of that. We've even seen some videos of Obama bowing to it and everyone freaked out. But they've released a new version of it that has new legs and new fingers. Its hands are now so complicated that it can communicate using sign language. Here's the new robot, I guess. It's pretty much similar to the old one, but it can run at 6 miles per hour. I'm not impressed. I would think that they would be a lot at this point in time. I would think that they would be able to do a lot more than 6 miles per hour. I think DARPA's got stuff better than this, don't they? But I think that's made more for killing than for assisting people and that sort of thing. Like this one, they've got it carrying trays and doing productive things like that, or serving people and let me take your jacket and all that kind of thing. And the interesting thing is this one's smart enough to know if someone is running down a hallway, it knows to get the hell out of the way and that sort of thing. So it's becoming smarter. And of course, it's humanoid because it's something that we can identify with. It would be weird to have a spider bot to be like, what the hell is that spider bot doing over there? But possibly more practical, I don't know. So that's the next version of ASIMO.
The advances for robotics here are really around assembly line robots that can be taught instead of programmed. And the R&D that goes into ASIMO is sort of leading that, but they're not really doing anything interesting with the software on the assembly line side yet, but they will be. I mean, they are kind of doing some interesting things, but it's just not there yet. But imagine the stickers that we saw in, some of like the Foxconn videos and things like that. Imagine those. It's like you just show a robot how to do that, and the robot is perfectly content to peel and stick the stickers all day long without going completely insane. You just buy, a few thousand cheap ASIMO robots and you just show them what to do, and they'll happily do that endlessly, which is maybe good for humanity.
Let's talk about games. I am really looking forward to this game called The Long Dark. If you guys haven't seen it, here's a trailer for the Steam Early Access version of the game. Now, this game is a stylized game made by guys in Alaska, I believe, and it's a survival game. Where you have to stay warm. Your body burns calories, and there's like a calorie countdown while you're playing, so you can see. I really like the stylized graphics, and I'm just hoping that the actual gameplay lives up to the ideas and just some of the visuals that they're creating. But it's going to be a harsh environment. There's going to be like wolves and that sort of thing. And I don't know what else there's going to be, but I do like the survival genre if done correctly. And I know Pistol is like one of her favorite genres, so she is really looking forward to this as well. Wow, that looks really cool. It looks like a painting. Impressive. Yeah, it looks like a painting almost. Like everything. Wow. So yeah, it's going to be realistic as far as the gameplay goes, but the visuals are just something totally different. I mean, they look like a painting or some kind of a new movie, Disney movie or something. Anyway, so if you guys are into survival horror, keep an eye on that game. Another game to keep an eye on that's horror but not so much survival, but it looks interesting as well, is a game called The Hum, and I'll bring up a bit of this footage, just go into it. Apparently it's a post-invasion world, so it's kind of post-apocalyptic, and the apocalypse was brought about by an alien invasion. So I think it looks pretty cool. I'll skip till later in the video here, so you guys can see some of the alien motherships and that sort of thing attacking the city. just the scope of, you know, the external areas with these giant alien ships is like something I haven't seen in a game before. Kind of cool. What else do we have to talk about? I'll just mention this and we'll keep on going. But Star Citizen, yeah, the guys at Star Citizen said that consoles couldn't possibly handle Star Citizen. So I'll just leave that out there. And I don't want to say that, oh yeah, they just couldn't handle it. So let's move on. Another game that I'm currently playing right now is called Technicolor Rain. And I played this a little bit last night while I was streaming. Technicolor Rain is obviously created by a bunch of guys who played way too much Hotline Miami, but they wanted to take it, make it slightly nerdier, slightly darker, and add sort of a, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for here? Supernatural element. You can come outside of your body as a ghost and then enter the body of like a guard or something. And then, what is that? So here's some gameplay. I had quite a bit of fun with it. I actually like the mechanic. I like the fact that you can like take over the body of a guard. And you know, that's a power you can't abuse. You can't just use that over and over again. But yeah, you take over the body of a guard, and then you know, the other guards won't shoot you until, of course, you attack them. And it adds an interesting dynamic to the whole Hotline Miami style gameplay. It feels a little bit more like a PC game. Just in this, it feels like I guess an old school PC game in the style of it. Hotline Miami felt somewhat unique with its pixel art style. So this is similar but different. So if you enjoyed that game and want something similar but different, check out Technicolor Rain. All right, what else do I have? Oh yeah, The Witcher 3 has been delayed. So I'm actually glad that The Witcher 3 has been delayed. CD Projekt Red said that the reason it's being delayed is they had this giant, you know, world created, but the whole open world thing wasn't there. They needed to add more content, more quests, and really flesh out the details of the world. So instead of releasing a game that was, you know, more linear like The Witcher 2, they're still going to have. They're not calling it a linear story. There's still a main or a main quest. They're calling it a main arc. So there's still going to be a main story arc, but that's only going to be about half of the content that's in the game. There's still going to be about 50 additional hours of content of side quests and random things like that. And they say that the whole idea here is they want you to be able to just totally explore a world that's living, and it's not there yet. So you guys take your time making this. Not too much time, because I want to freaking play it. But I've got other stuff to play, like Wasteland 2 coming out later on this year, or actually like in a month. So there'll be a lot of stuff to play until then. So I don't know, you got any video game stuff you talk about? You still playing, what's that game? I've already forgotten the name of it. The one you recommended last?
Unturned.
Yeah,
it's
Unturned,
kind of fun. The multiplayer, yeah, the trolls haven't invaded yet, which is nice. If the trolls, I can sense them coming. It's going to be like DayZ. But until then, it's actually really nice. I got a farm set up, and I figured out how to make boxes, so I'm doing okay.
Interesting. I have no idea what's going on with Windows audio, everybody out there. It's been really strange. It's been like sometimes it goes up and sometimes it goes down as far as the pitch goes and the speed. So it's just blame Adobe Flash because we're using Flash. Why are we not using HTML5 for this? Can we use HTML5 to stream this? I don't even know.
Well, yeah, I mean, it'll fall back to the HTML5 player if you don't have Flash. So just turn off Flash and it'll be fine.
Next episode, no Flash.
But it's probably the VPN.
Oh, yeah. I had to reboot my computer about 19 times before we made this because the capture card wasn't working, and the VPN turns on by default. I usually disable it whenever we're doing this just to make sure that everything's completely, you know, smooth and fast. And then I'm not routing my traffic through somewhere else in the country, Chicago, New Jersey, or whatever. But yeah, we did the tech through a VPN this time.
It's working really well considering it's going through the United Kingdom.
The United Kingdom of somewhere. Yeah, whatever. That's enough. I'm going to get ready to go to QuakeCon right now, and you guys are going to watch this after QuakeCon. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed all the videos. If not, I don't care. See how much I care? None. That was awful. All right, I'll see you guys in the next thing that you watch or whatever. You guys will see me. I won't physically see you. That'd be weird. We're working on the technology, though.